Hello, loves. Welcome back to the podcast. Happy New Year. We are officially in 2026 territory, and I'm very excited. I can feel the shift in momentum, the shift in energy, and it feels good. It feels really good. And I wanted to jam with y'all today on resolutions. And if you're going to make them poetic. And the reason I say this is because most people's resolutions are actually just punishments in disguise. So they're all the things that you think are bad or wrong or need fixing about you. And they can be a little harsh. They can really lack a lot of care and warmth and poetic beauty. They're not really about nourishment, at least how the conventional track does resolutions. They are like punishments. And if your resolutions feel like punishment to your system, you're not going to fulfill on that. And it makes sense why. Because if it feels like you're being punished all the time, your system's going to rebel against that because the core of who you are understands that that is not how we get shit done. That is not how we maintain long-term success. So a lot of resolutions are short-lived because they come from this place of fixing and there's something wrong with you. And so that hits your self-esteem and your self-worth unconsciously without you even noticing. But then because they have like this militant energy to them, and there's a lot of force and there's a lot of restriction and tightness, it's impossible to maintain because we go through different seasons, different cycles throughout the year, and your system needs to be able to adapt and shift and change and move and groove. And so if you're setting a template at the start of the year that comes from this place of force, that comes from this place of control and closed energy and punishment, you're probably not going to make it that far. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people's resolutions don't stick, because they were never true to begin with. They weren't resolutions that are designed to weave more beauty into your world, to weave more aliveness into your spirit. And so when I talk about resolutions, I don't frame them the way that most people do. And I think I can talk to you about this in theory, or I can just show you. So, what I did the other day, well, I guess yesterday, New Year's, and I woke up, I could feel this new energy, and I wrote for 2 hours before I even got out of bed. And that to me just set the tone of what this next year is really all about and the energy to it. And there was this softness and this slowness and a devotion to the things that really matter. And what I ended up writing was a piece on resolutions and what my resolutions are. I wouldn't even call them resolutions, but it's how, the rest of the world kind of frames it. These are more my intentions. These are more my devotions, what I'm really committed to. And even just hearing that language, I'm sure you can feel the difference in your body. The things that you're committed to, the things that you intend to fulfill on, the things that light you up and will enhance the quality of your life. And see, this kind of lens on resolutions also has you be in a more creative, energetic, whereas conventional resolutions are often about restriction, taking away punishment. And my perspective is like, well, if I'm going to live a life, I'm going to live a poetic one. And if I'm going to set quote unquote resolutions, I'm going to set poetic ones. So I wanted to share with you what I wrote and the things that are being woven into my 2026. And feel free to use any of these take them on as your own. If you're like, oh yeah, that feels good to me, take it. Don't worry about it. Like we can all have a bunch of overlap with each other. And let it also ping and inspire and call forward the things that are really true for you for 2026. Let yourself weave that into form. And if you haven't already signed up for my free class tomorrow, please go do that. There is a 24-hour replay, and we are going to be doing a 9-year relational review. So we're going to go through this last 9-year cycle from a relational lens, and we're going to look at, your core relationships that you had, what the themes were, what the underlying patterns were, what the core needs were that you were attempting to get met. Sometimes you would have, sometimes you maybe didn't. And we're going to unpack all of that so that you have a really clear picture, a really clear wrap up of, what you have walked yourself through in these last 9 years. We're going to obviously take stock of all of your wins, because that momentum, again, will take you further than focusing on all the ways that you fell short. That's not interesting to me. Um, and I don't find it effective. I have been a coach for over 15 years, and I was in leadership positions in other companies before I got into coaching. And my stance was always lead with possibility, lead with what is going well, lead with what is working. And when you start from that point, and then we can look constructively at the ways that maybe aren't working, and it doesn't hit your self-esteem the way that it does when we primarily focus on what's wrong and what's not working, which is, how the majority of the world in the conventional track lives their life. And obviously, that's not how we roll. We are not on that track. We are outside of the box. We are doing things real different over in this side of the internet. And so we will be weaving all of that through in the class, and then obviously carving out a path for you to set your trajectory for 2026. I will also be sharing about my 2 offerings for January. So there's one if you want to come in and do relational work with me, and then there's another if you would like to do more lifestyle design and do my last year experiment with me. And so both of those I'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow in the class. So if you haven't joined, please hit the show notes and you will find the link to sign yourself up. And then use this podcast as a way for you to weave and maybe reevaluate any resolutions that maybe you did set yesterday, and check them out. Check them out if they're really true. And you'll know that they're true because they expand you. They feel good. You're like, yeah, I'm really committed to that. Yeah, that feels good. And so I'm going to give you mine as an example, and then I want you to create yours, because that's really why we're here. That is why we're in this conversation. We are talking about creativity. We are talking about creating yourself alive. We are talking about living in your full range. We are talking about designing intentional love and relationships. And so we have to put, the rubber to the road, and that requires our active participation. That requires us to design and create. So I'm going to give you the blueprint of mine, and then I want you to take it and run with it. Design your own. Whatever those, expanded resolutions, those commitments are, I want you to really feel into your body. That's how you'll know, by feeling your way through it. This is not a mental exercise. This is a body-based exercise. Your body will tell you. And if something is a yes, it'll often feel open and expansive. If it's a no, you're going to feel that clenching and that closing. And so take a look at any resolutions that you may have set, or if you have, a little like hate on for resolutions, this might be your a little pivot for you that is workable. Okay. So here we go. These are my 2026 resolutions: to open my heart even wider, to laugh as much as humanly possible, to play, to look for what feels alive and let it nourish and fill me, to say I love you every day and mean it, to focus on what wants to stay, to let what wishes to leave go, to believe people when they show me who they are the first time, to light more candles, to be generous with my love and strong with my standards, to slow and savor the moments that matter, to ask my parents more weird questions, to cook with more butter, to have more life-altering orgasms, to have more spontaneous dance parties, to fall in love, to use the good body oil as often as I can, to have more makeouts, especially in the most random and mundane moments, to say what I mean and mean what I say, even if it's hard and uncomfortable, to fan the flames of my turn on, to read more books, to move and sweat in ways that delight me and bring me joy, to book the flight, do the thing, go where I feel most called, to move towards peace and grown men who know how to love boldly, speak honestly, and go all in, to soak in salt baths with rose petals, to pet more dogs and snuggle more cats, to get more sun on my skin, to listen to the heartbeat of my emotional world and let it create through me, to let myself love life fully again, to take a lover who understands the art of living in deep respect, to banter more, to write more poems, to spend more time in cozy bookstores getting lost in the world of words, to have more uplifting and random conversations with strangers, to invest into the field of possibility and let it weave through me, to spend more time at every farmer's market I can find, to make friends with the crows and receive their wisdom, to say yes to life daily, to move my body devotionally, to spend more time enjoying how the cool, crisp bamboo sheets feel on my skin, to rest, to sleep deeper, to lean into magic, to savor the nourishment of home-cooked meals, to have more long-table dinner parties, to adventure with the ones I love most, to find the castle and invite all my favorite humans to visit, to let life get real good, to receive and let all that goodness in, to boldly own my full range and honor my inner knowing, and of course, to drink more water. So I want you to take those in. Let them rumble around. Let them inspire the creation of your own. And if you feel so called, write it down. Let it be poetic. Be bold and share it with someone in your life. Post it on your social media. Share it with your friends. Share it with the people that matter most to you. The people who are going to cheer and champion you when you win and when you follow through and when you create on this level. And this is the thing about resolutions that turn into real life, is that there is a degree of accountability. And so this is why I wrote that poem, why I shared it on the internet, why I put it on my podcast, because there is something that happens when we use our voice to really declare what it is that we are committed to. You'll notice that if it's really a resolution that's true, your ability to speak it out loud will be smooth. It won't feel weird and clunky. It'll feel weird and clunky and restricted, and you might want to keep it to yourself and hide it if it's a resolution that isn't coming from a place of truth. If it is coming from a place of punishment, then you probably want to keep those secret and hidden. And anything that you keep secret and hidden, it's A, probably not going to happen, and B, you give yourself a bigger out. So you give yourself this little back door that's cracked open that allows you to not actually fulfill on the things that are most important to you. And this is why in the last year experiment and in all of my containers, there is this level of community and accountability, because without that, our humans will human, and we will give ourselves an out. And I do not like to operate at that level. I like to live my life in the pocket of excellence. That is really important to me. And not excellence in the sense of like driving myself into the ground, but excellence is really important to me. Doing things well is important to me. Doing things intentionally is important to me. And holding myself to the highest level that I can play at is important to me. And that only happens when I say the things that are important to me out loud, and there is a world to receive that. And whether that's one person, whether that's a community, whether that's the internet at large, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you're brave enough to really back yourself and really say, these are the things that I'm truly committed to. This is how I want to create my most poetic year ever. The year where my life just feels so alive and I feel so fulfilled and connected and locked in. And that happens when you put your butt on the line and you make a commitment that really matters. And in relationships, we know the difference between a relationship where people go all in and put their butt on the line and commit to something bigger versus the ones that are kind of wishy-washy. They never actually like make any real commitment out loud. They never really form and create a container for the relationship that is integral, that takes both people's desires and needs into consideration and literally creates this beautiful relationship that has its own heartbeat into form. They don't do that. Those relationships flatline. That's the majority of the conventional path, by the way. They're not really interested in generating a relationship alive. They're just interested in getting into one because of what it means when they don't. Let that sink in. Most people get into relationships because they're afraid of what it means when they don't. And they're trying to prevent that judgment, those feelings that go along with it, all the meaning that they make it mean. Whereas when we are on a more conventional and intentional track, we aren't getting into a relationship just for the sake of what it means to be in a relationship. We are going to get into a relationship when it's true to get into a relationship with someone who is aligned to be in a relationship with. And that person who's aligned with you is someone who is capable and interested in creating that container intentionally, creating that container by your own unique design. And that's why no two relationships are ever the same, because no two people doing the creation will ever create the exact same combination of energy. I think it's the coolest thing. I love that. Like, every relationship is its own unique universe. And so when you want to create that type of love in your life, it's really important that you've got that skill built in to your life to be able to create yourself and your world and your life alive first. So you know how to do it. You have the blueprint. And then inevitably, the person that is most aligned for you will also know what they're doing, and they are creating their life intentionally by their design. And it's in that field of co-creation that you come together and you create something truly magnificent and unique to the two of you. It's such a cool thing. I talk about this in my signature program, Initiated, which is open for enrollment for the month of January. There are only 12 spots left. And we go into that in a really big way in that container. And we will also be touching on this thread from more of a live your life by your design sort of vibe in the last year experiment. So depending what your vibe is, you can also do both. They pair well together. You can join me for both experiences if that feels good for you too. But I really want you to get in this pocket right away of doing this exercise, of creating your resolutions, but from a lens of poetry, from a lens of art, from a lens of creativity, from a lens of devotion and heart, and like what makes you come alive. Let yourself create from that place and see how different the content is that comes through you. And when the content is different that comes through you, because it's coming from a place of truth, it's coming from a place of alignment, it's coming from a place of devotion, you are more likely to stick with something that actually feels nourishing, that feels good, than you are something that feels punitive. And then when you up the ante and you commit on a higher level by declaring in some way, shape, or form to another person what you're committed to. So you could write this and send me an email and send me your resolutions, and that counts. You could put it on your social media, that counts. You could read it to your friend, that counts. You could read it to your spouse, that counts. But it has to be another human that receives you. Don't give yourself a note by reading it to your dog, okay? Come on. We're playing at a much higher and much more intentional level here. And so give yourself the gift of actually being able to create the conditions to bring this into form by generating it from a different place to start with, and then holding yourself to a higher level of capability and accountability by allowing other people to witness you in your declaration. Use your voice, say it out loud. On my other podcast, we had my friend Vasavi on. She's actually going to come on to this podcast as well. We're going to do another conversation here. And her whole body of work is about say it out loud. And when it comes to your declarations and your intentions, you need to say them out loud. It's not enough to keep them inside. And this is a really important lesson for life and love. If you want a love that really thrives, you need to say it out loud, and you need to say it often. You need to tell the people that you love them and what specifically you love about them. They will never know how you feel if you don't tell them. And so many people are afraid of saying it out loud because maybe it won't be returned. Maybe someone will feel a different way. They're more afraid of rejection than they are about ensuring that the love that's in them gets out and that the other person knows without a shadow of a doubt how they feel. And so that is, one of the big commitments that I hold as a teacher of love and as a mentor in relationships is to work on those spots internally that stop you from being able to express the full range of who you are. The parts that hold you back from expressing your love and from speaking what's true for you and advocating for your needs and your boundaries and the things that actually make you feel most vital and alive. And being able to feel so confident in your ability to step into any relational dynamic, romantic or otherwise, and create that alive and create a container that allows for the best of both people to come through, and you get to create a life and a relationship together from that place. Like that's where the juice is. That's where we're headed in 2026, by the way. So if you want to come work with me on a more relational level, I'm going to put all the links in the show notes so you can sign up for tomorrow's class, and I'll talk more about both of these containers there. But I'll also put the link to the last year experiment if you want kind of a more low touch. You just want to go through the experiment and see where that takes you, or you want a much deeper, more intimate relational experience this year, and that's where you would apply to come into Initiated. So I'm going to leave all of that in the show notes. I can't wait to hear your resolutions. Please, 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 if you do them and you post them on social media, tag me, send them to me, send me an email. I don't care how you send it to me, but I want to see it and I want to celebrate it with you. I want to amplify it. I want to witness it. And I hope to see you in tomorrow's class where we're going to be doing even more of this goodness. And I'm wishing you the most beautiful start to 2026 and that you continue to carry on this frequency of this conversation today into every single day of your 2026. And I will be seeing and talking to you all very soon. Happy New Year, friends. Bye.